welcome to The Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia.
I was thinking about on the way up here, I was probably talking to myself like, how am I going to say it today? Is there a different way that I can say it? I'm not going to sing it, but I might could say it a different way.
You should start singing your name and see how that goes.
I'm not going to sing my name.
Baby, lock them doors.
God, cutting this part out. Gosh.
Oh, man. I'm just kidding. I could just hear your voice drop that low.
Well, we'll see you. Thanks for listening.
See you next time. That's good.
Kelsey made not an observation because she was listening. The episode we did, the Mosaic episode, that other business that y'all were talking to in that episode.
Yeah.
Over off Earl Campbell Parkway. The road that they are on is Mosaic.
Is
the name of the road.
Kelsey, I didn't know.
Yeah, it is. I got a picture of it. Like Mosaic Lane.
That's hysterical, dude.
So shout out to Kelsey for finding that. Yeah, Mosaic Way.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, man.
How mosaic is that? You know, the pieces.
The pieces coming together.
Cool stuff.
Happens at the right time.
Mm-hmm. What's been going on in your world?
Oh, man. We could definitely go into a podcast about that.
Yeah.
I feel like my world has been unraveling.
Cool.
It's been very, very interesting.
Yeah.
In a good way, unraveling. But it's been very uncomfortable.
Oh.
So I've been reading this book called Code to Joy. And it's brilliant. It talks about how, well, it really kind of pinpoints triggers that people carry.
Okay.
Which I am a strong believer in people having emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. So we should be completely aware of ourselves. We should be, and not like self-conscious. I'm not talking about that, but I am talking about like behaviors, patterns, triggers, things that cause us to manifest the fruit that is not of the spirit.
Yeah.
Right. So fruit of the flesh.
Right.
And most of the time when we manifest those things, it's because there's a place that is an unhealed wound. And it is not the event that happened to you, but it's how you interpreted the event. And this starts from your childhood all the way through.
Okay.
And so I've been reading this book called Code to Joy, and it really pinpoints, it allows you to kind of dive into some of those memories that still hold energy.
Yeah. And
you can kind of unlock your body from holding that energy, right? So some people are like, oh yeah, I'm just OCD.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm just, my kid has ADD. My kid has ADHD. Or I have ADD, you know, or, I mean, you name it. Like, hey, I've got this cycle, meaning I'll go work out for a long time and then I stop.
Yeah.
Like self-sabotaging things. Hey, I'm fatigued a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, I get really stressed out when I walk into a new place with new people. Most people chalk this up to being like, oh, this is just who I am. These are my personalities.
Yeah.
But this book really dives into, hey, that's not you. You are moving in response to something that happened early in your life.
So it's traceable back to a point.
Yes. Everything is traceable.
Okay. That's cool. Interesting.
And it's cool because it walks you through it.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of write down like your first big memories, right? Like your very first memory ever.
Yeah.
Which I realized when I did that, which Zach and I are going through it together, which has been very cool for both of us.
Yeah.
Because it's unraveled a lot of underlying operating systems that we have that we didn't know we had.
Yeah.
So, you know, I went to my very first memory and I instantly had a surge of anxiety. And I was like, whoa, like my stomach got in knots. Like my heart started to race and I was like, that's weird. That crab still has energy to it. But I realized that was the foundation that I had been seeing so many experiences through.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, have you heard that phrase, self-fulfilling prophecies? So like in psychology, they talk about it a lot, which, by the way, this guy says in the book, he started researching energy psychology. And I was like, bro, where was that when I was a major in college? Because I would have, because my major, my major was psychology.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about energy psychology. I'm like, I'm all for that. But because they talk about how we're like biomechanical.
Okay.
Like everything in us has a frequency.
Yeah.
Right. And it carries energy. And it's on the skin level and outward, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah.
Anyways, but he basically talks about how when you hold these memories and they have energy to them, it's almost like you attach your faith to that.
Okay.
To that experience.
Yeah.
Having the expectation that this might happen, but really you believe it will happen.
Right.
And then you start to have experiences that confirm that that experience is real.
Wow.
So I'll give my personal example.
Okay.
My very first memory as a child was being punished. And because I didn't do something that my father felt I absolutely needed to do.
Okay.
Which was finish my food, by the way.
Wow.
It's like very simple,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
I didn't eat all my food, so I was sent to this room and shut in for the rest of the night. Because we were around a bunch of church people. And the way I interpreted it was that it looked bad for me to not like what they had presented.
Yeah.
Right? So I was punished. I wasn't allowed to sit on the bed. I remember, I can tell you the details of the room.
Yeah.
White, roughly bedspread with brown.
This is somebody else's house?
This is somebody else's house. But I was shut away. So I was disconnected from communion, basically, in my mind.
Yeah. You're rejected.
I was rejected. I was isolated. I was cast off.
Yeah.
So then and I just recently discovered that. I had not ever put these together.
Yeah.
Like, this is a new discovery for me. Well, then I started writing out all of my memories throughout my childhood, right? So all of these confirming experiences.
Yeah.
But really the root of that is like, I'm not lovable.
Yeah.
That is the limiting belief that was instilled within me.
Yeah.
Well, then you go through, when I was in the 5th grade, my best friend died in a car accident. Confirmed experience. Hey, I'm not somebody, even though they died, they couldn't be around me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then 3 months later, my dad died, or my dad leaves. So again, I'm not lovable.
Yeah.
People don't want to be around me. Then I have to move to a new place. Well, when I moved to a new place, I had no friends. So again,
it just
confirming.
Reinforces it.
And then less than a year later, my aunt died, who had become like my mom.
Yeah.
And then I got friends. In those friendships, I ended up getting a letter. Basically, these 2 girls wrote me a letter saying I wasn't spiritually mature enough to hang out with them. Again, rejection.
Yeah.
So it was like, I had this initial experience to paint and I'm not saying all of those things.
Yeah.
I'm saying all of those things played on that initial experience, right? So then it's confirming and it's confirming and it's confirming. And even though like I hadn't fully put all this together until like a week ago.
Yeah.
But you have all these confirming experiences that make you believe that. So then my expectation, my faith, is now put in these experiences.
Yeah.
That if I get in relationships, at some point I will be rejected. Because my family has rejected me.
Yeah.
Which is the core, central, safe place that you need. Right? And so then I even have these experiences of when, like for Zach, when he became family. Yeah. There was times in our marriage, which he didn't know, but I felt that narrative. Yeah. And so then I had to withdraw. And then he was like, well, why are you withdrawing from me? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. So then it's this wrestle. And anyways, it's been brilliant.
Yeah,
for me.
Sounds like it.
Because it's this unraveling of realizing the things that you operate from.
Yeah.
You either can operate it from a place of wound and not know it.
Right.
Or you can operate from a place of wholeness.
Yeah.
And I think when you operate from a place of wholeness, then you move in faith. And then when the word of the Lord comes to you, it's like your mind and your body agree. And so then it comes forth.
Yeah.
Right. But if you are having all of these, or if you have these wounds that you haven't dealt with, even when the word of the Lord comes to you, your unbelief will block it because your body doesn't believe that this thing is available to you. Because this guy goes deep into your subconscious, right? He basically compares your subconscious to the size of an elephant.
Okay.
Your conscious mind, which is what we like live from, our thoughts, our feelings, like all these things, it's the size of a flea.
Okay.
A flea to an elephant.
Yeah.
And so most of our lives are lived from this elephant place. And if you have a big wound in your elephant, it dictates like your actual physical responses.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So like, last thing, and then I'll stop being on my tangent.
No, you're good.
But like, so you'll have these experiences, right? I don't know if you've ever experienced this or any listeners have experienced this where your conscious mind understands something. You're like, I shouldn't feel this way.
Yeah.
Because this just doesn't make sense. Like, they didn't say anything to hurt my feelings, but my body physically is responding like they hurt my feelings. So you have like almost this polarity of logically, I understand this. Physically, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
Because you're having a physical response. And that is probably because your subconscious is holding on to a filter of a wound.
Yeah.
That your body just needs resolve in. You need to like kind of dive into that, almost like lean into the uncomfortableness. But yeah, dude, it's been revolutionary. It's been revolutionary for both Zach and I.
Hey, well, for that to happen too, like for that to be your earliest memory, the sabotage of that. But at that age, it's like, oh, this is the way things are.
Well, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, for that to be so.
Well, the thing I like that he talks about is that there's another guy that I listen to, his name is Dr. Gabor Mate. Gabor Mate. And he talks about that there is no logical reasoning within a child, right? So when you are 0 to 3 is the most important time frame of your life. It is when you create your secure attachments.
Okay.
He has a story where when he was 11 months old, he was raised in Budapest. They are Jews, and he was raised under Nazi regime.
Yeah.
So bad combination, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Well, his mom handed him off to a stranger, thinking she was trying to save his life because the Nazis were coming in and they were Jewish, and she was trying to make him safe. Well, as an 11-month-old, there's no logic or reason about like, hey, I'm threatened. Like, this is dangerous.
Yeah.
All he knows is my caregiver doesn't love me and I'm abandoned.
Wow.
So he talks about like, these are the things that we interpret, especially 0 to 3.
Yeah.
And they're solidified within us.
Huh.
I mean, they can be unraveled,
yeah.
Once you actually like address them. But
dang.
He was just talking about the value of 0 to 3.
Yeah.
And how most of us are just like, God, I hope that my kid eventually talks so I can hang out with them. And it's like, yo, they're in like so much of who they are is being instilled.
Pivotal. Yeah. Made me think of Moses when you were telling that story.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Little basket floated down the. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. No wonder he had a complex of like, who am I?
Right.
Yeah. But the Lord had to come in and actually reaffirm, like, no, this is who you are. Which I think that's what these invitations are when you look at some of your wounds.
Yeah.
Is like, no, look at the pain that you feel so the Lord can then you can release that tension, that energy out of your body, so then he can come in and affirm who you are.
Make you whole, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's Jesus Christ who makes you whole.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to keep carrying these things.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's fun. It sounds fun. It sounds kind of scary, but necessary.
I feel like, yeah, that's funny. I was talking to my sister about that. But it's like, it's scary, which even some of that, like I had that I didn't realize anger towards the Lord kind of manifests.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you let this happen to me.
Uh-huh.
Like the abuse that I interpreted, the abuse that I had, like you put me in that family.
Uh-huh.
And so it was like kind of even purging this, this deep seed of mistrust that I even had towards the Lord that I didn't even know I was carrying.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it was like when that moment happened.
Oh, dang.
Whoa.
Sorry. Whoops.
No, you're good.
Won't be doing that again.
But when that moment happened, it was like, yo, that was even pressure I was carrying I didn't know I was carrying.
Yeah.
Like weight that I didn't have to.
Yeah. What was your conclusion on that? What was your wholeness? Have you reached that with feeling like, why would you put me in this family, or why would you put me in this position and allow this to happen?
I am still working through that.
Okay.
I had an interesting dream last night that I felt like I was starting to get the answers to that. I think part of it, I think a lot of it has to do with my destiny.
Yeah.
And I have, because much of my life was lived under the hand of punishment, I think I've always seen it as punishment.
Yeah.
That he put me in that family as punishment. But I am starting to get this rewiring.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still like very, very much in the process of this. But getting the rewiring that it has everything to do with my destiny of getting other people out of that.
Yeah.
Out of those cyclical things, out of the, really it's the lie of self-hatred. Because that was honestly how I began to interpret everything.
Yeah.
Was through the lens of self-hatred. But
I feel like it is a deeper, I feel like there's a deeper level of understanding in it for everybody, really, when it comes to things like that, of being more than conquerors, and how this life pales in comparison to like the eternal.
Yeah.
And there being some deeper, not of like, why would you allow this to happen? But almost like you being planted in the middle of something like that, so you can grab it by its throat and pull it inside out.
Yeah. But I think when you hold a wound, like when you hold that filter deeply embedded, I think that's been the trap of the enemy all along. Yeah. Is because if you can hold on to your wound, then you stay in this dimension. Right. But when you can let go of the wound and you start to move through the pain and the disappointment and the feeling of betrayal. Yeah. Because that's really what it was. I felt betrayed by my family. Yeah. And then I lived that way. I lived as if I was betrayed by my family. I literally stopped talking to them for years. And so those things like 100% unraveled. Yeah. But I think it's because when you live bound to the earth, you can only, that's like as high as you can go. Right. But when you release those things, that's when you fly high. That's when you can actually tap into the heavenly perspective. Yeah. The whole heavenly perspective. But I think you have to be willing to go through the deepest parts of your pain. Face it. Yeah. You have to face it. You have to go through it. Because I think for a long time, there was a big disconnect for me, right? Like I am 100% running after the Lord, pursuing the things of heaven. And like, I value the kingdom so much, But then I would have this thing over here that I'm like, dude, I can't freaking shake.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, it's not like naughty sins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was, I snapped at my husband.
Yeah.
Like I was very short tempered. Certain things would make me, it was like I couldn't regulate, right? I didn't have clear understanding on stuff. Like I was having like big emotions.
Yeah.
And it's like, those two things have to come in alignment.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, no, dude, move through the pain. Like, let him come and see if there's any anxious way within me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what he's doing. Like, he has really come and knocked on my door.
Yeah.
With a lot of these old things.
Yeah.
Because I even thought that there was shame that I was still carrying old things. Like, I should already have my crap together by now.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's even a trap.
No,
like,
for sure, yeah.
Measuring yourself and, but it was through, it's all rooted through that. Mm-hmm. If I get my crap together, then I'll be accepted.
Right.
Which is a lie. Because I just flat felt I wasn't lovable.
Yeah.
And I'm only lovable by what I produce.
Yeah.
Or what I can.
Yeah. Dang.
Anyways.
Well, I think it's a cool trail that you're on. Like, I think it's cool that you're remembering these things and you can see it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that you're facing it.
Yeah. It's felt like an unbridling.
Yeah.
Like yeah. And it's messy.
Good. Well, good. You know, it's worth it. I mean, it's like these kind of things are what's the option? What's the other option?
Literally, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
going for the, you know.
It's so good, man.
Yeah.
That's like, I read this thing the other day that literally basically said that. It was like, you can hold on to your stuff.
Yeah.
But at what cost?
Yeah.
Like, what are you actually...
For what? Like...
Like, you're giving it up. You're giving up so much greatness if you're not willing to go there.
Yeah.
So... Fun things.
It's cool. I need to read this book.
Listen,
I wrote it down.
Even if people are like, yeah, I've got no issues. Good for you. Proud of you. But...
Yeah, go through it.
It even hits on that.
Cool. Oh, good.
It even hits on, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because I really do believe this. And maybe it's a wrong belief. I don't know. If you were completely resolved of every trauma, of every wound, you would be moving in the power of the age to come.
Yeah. Right.
Because you would be completely whole. And then you would be doing John 14, which is doing the greater works.
Yeah.
Because you can hold those.
Yeah.
Because your person can withstand that power, can release that level of power.
It's another kind of elephant.
Yeah. But, so what about you?
I hadn't been doing anything like that.
No, I'm in my own little
world. I've been doing minor things.
There's no such thing as minor.
I guess not.
You're just on your own path.
I'm on my own little path. I've been on a little vacation and I've been working on little projects and I've been getting a little agitated here and there with little things.
You got to read the book.
Which I caught myself, I know it. Well, on my way here, one of them got me and I was like, why is this bothering me so much? It's this stupid helmet that I sanded and painted. That I've been working on.
Eating your lunch.
It was eating my lunch because I sanded it like hardcore. Like with the, really put a lot of work into it. And I was like admiring the smoothness of this thing. And then I painted it. I was like, it's time for this beautiful first coat of paint. And it showed me all the imperfections, all the little things that I missed. And it bothered me. But about halfway here, over in the Bergfield Center, I was like, why is this thing, this is silly. And I just kind of released it. But
that's funny.
That's it. That's what I've been going through. I went on a little vacation this weekend and I'd say my thing has been, I think I've been sitting back and almost like daydreaming and just thinking and appreciating things for the most part, except for the paint agitation stuff. But I mean, we went to Louisiana this weekend. There was a parade and fireworks. And Sunday morning, I just went and ran around this town in Louisiana, and the weather was just cool. And I would go, jog past people's houses and buildings, and we went to eat at some of my in-laws' family, but it was out in the country, and it was like I was having these thoughts of how big the world is and how, like, in every house or every area in town, there's like complete and total lives, all this connectivity, and I don't know, just kind of daydreaming on that stuff. And then like nostalgia, Louisiana stuff, just the feel of it.
Yeah.
Just different things. And so I just kind of sit in it, almost like I'm floating around, but I'm feeling things,
Yeah.
Don't really know why, but I'm just, I guess, being present and enjoying it. Just kind of enjoying things and feelings and different, I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. That's how we were when we went. So we went to my family's for Thanksgiving, and it was magical. It was like the ability to be brilliantly present.
Yeah.
Like unlocked some stuff. And it's been cool because ever since we've gotten back, there's been like massive shifts.
Yeah.
Of just like us actually disconnecting.
Yeah.
And resting and being present. It's like presentness is an underrated, massive tool.
Yeah, it's gold.
Yeah. And it's like you don't, like, even when you're just with your people.
Yeah.
Right? We often get into like the work of like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, right? So when you're with your spouse.
Yeah.
And say hypothetically you go out on a date, right? It's like, do you talk about what's going on with the person, or do you talk through logistics of your family? Like, is it a business date? Like, where you're talking about like, hey, we've got to go through all these things. We've got this coming up. We've got to do this. And it's like, yo, are y'all business partners?
Yeah.
Or are you actually curious about each other's hearts? And like, do you go there?
Interesting.
And it's like, that's presentness.
Yeah.
That's presentness of like, what's happening with you right now? What are you thinking about? What are you exploring? What has been heavy on you this week? What is, like getting more curious than business. But that has been the biggest shift for Zach and I, that since Thanksgiving, it's like we're more curious about each other.
Yeah.
Because, when you're opening a business, a lot of the time you're talking about business.
Yeah.
Like the logistics of things and when are you going to be home? I've got to go do this. Can you be here? Can you, versus just like creating space to connect.
Yeah.
And it's been like, I'm all for it, dude.
Cool.
I was reading a guy talking about like creating presentness.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's an element of being present in all the days or like all day long, but like creating a presentness where it's like 20 minutes with you and your spouse.
Yeah.
No phones, no nothing. And asking questions. So you only respond to the question.
Yeah.
But then you have to ask another question.
Oh, interesting.
And so like you don't make statements and then want them to respond.
Yeah.
You make a statement and then you ask another question.
Wow.
And it's very interesting.
That is interesting. Sounds like a good exercise though.
Well, you realize how often you don't know what to ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much you're like stuck within your own person. And how much we're not curious about what's going on with you.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? Because normally we have this expectation that we're going to be met with a typical response or I think when you like, I don't know. I don't know if you're like this. You can tell me not to expose y'all's marriage or whatever, but like when you ask a question to Kelsey, do you feel like you have an expectation of how she's going to respond?
Sometimes, yeah. Often on certain things, yeah.
Yeah.
Many things, yeah.
Well, that's what this guy was kind of talking about is like we lead in, especially with our close relationships, with a lot of expectations of we just already assume how this exchange is going to go. So we either lean into it.
Or just there's no point because we know.
Yeah, or we ignore it.
Wow.
And he was like, that's the window of either connection or disconnection.
Wow.
Yeah. But I realized I do that as well. Like if it's like a, we all know. If you're married, these like weird contentious points or even in like close friendships. Like there's just some things that you're like, I don't really want to go there.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to set them off or I don't want to create disturbances.
Yeah.
But he was talking about like approaching things with curiosity and approaching things with wonder about the person as if you don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so brilliant.
Huh. Yeah, it is.
Because if you approach them with wonder and like amazement of like, okay, this person is like intricately woven.
Yeah, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then you start getting curious.
Yeah.
So then you can ask questions. Like what was the heaviest thing for you this week? Or this last week?
Yeah, last week, heaviest thing.
The helmet.
That very may well be. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the helmet. For sure.
What really bothered you about the helmet?
Okay, I think all the work that I put into it, and then when it comes time to finish it, it's like a mess. And so it feels like I did nothing. It's like, wow, all that for this. And then I just want to break the thing and just be done with it.
What do you feel like that says about your person?
A bit of a perfectionist. For sure, with that, when it comes to those things.
So what does that mean, to be a perfectionist? What does that mean to you?
Well, with that stuff, and it kind of goes back to some childhood things, and I kind of see it with Kyla and her. Whenever she colors and draws and stuff, whenever she's done and she sits back and looks at it, it's like, oh, that's ugly. I don't know. It's interesting though, but I'm tracing it back to being a kid.
Do you think any part of that is what you just did wasn't good enough?
Oh, for sure.
All your work wasn't good enough.
Oh, absolutely. Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel?
Oh, like, why did I even do this? Why did I even attempt this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when have you seen that prior in your life?
Oh, God. This movie stuff. Yeah.
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 Do you feel or remember a time when that was specifically said over you, or that type of thing was said to you?
That it wasn't good enough? Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are two of them specifically that I'm thinking about. Well, one, I was really little, but I kind of came back with some mad skills, though. But one of them...
Well, you had to prove them wrong.
I know, yeah. Yeah, my cousin... It was my cousin who told me I sucked at drawing when I was probably 3. I got a good memory.
Yeah, you do.
I remember where it was at. We had a little kid easel in there, it's between... Anyways, that...
Did you know that you can't remember anything until you're 3?
Really?
Everything else is subconscious.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyways, keep going.
Well, I feel like I know things before 3.
You can probably pull from your subconscious, but it's not like in your...
Yeah. Well, and then when I was in 4th grade, my teacher told me my artwork was horrible. And that one I was kind of like, no, I was just kind of bummed out by it. Because it's like, wow, you're the teacher. But then I was kind of like, no, it doesn't. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I was kind of confident with it. Yeah. I don't know. And then I have expectations for what I want it to look like too.
Yeah.
So when it's not met.
Why do you put expectations on things?
I like quality. I mean, when it comes to things that I make, I don't want to half-ass it.
Yeah, you hold yourself to a standard.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I like to put everything into things that I do. Well, a lot of that comes from, I think now I just like to put the quality of things. I appreciate it when I'm done with it. And that's almost the point of all of it, is like I can appreciate it and I can share it with people.
Because you put all your effort into it.
Yes. It's like a physical manifestation of my effort, I guess. Yeah, it's good. Then a lot of it goes back to like mowing the yard, doing work around the house, like not being good enough.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of that there. Never being good enough.
Yeah.
So that may have something to do with it.
Well, it's like that's where the gold can come out.
Yeah.
Is like actually wanting something to have excellence to it.
Right. Yeah.
But like the initial part of it is like, it actually came out of a wound.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Lord,
it's kind of intertwined with that.
Yeah, but I think that's that Romans 8:28. Like God works all things for the good of those who love him and called according to his purposes. It's like the good will always come out of that and the true aspect of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it tries to get mingled with the false narrative.
Yeah. So very closely too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Almost to where they get so intertwined you can't
distinguish.
Separate the two.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I didn't mean to dive into that.
Thanks. I'll be unraveling this one.
You said you had no issues. I'm proving you wrong.
I haven't been going through anything.
I'm kidding.
No, that's good though.
Well,
that's definitely a thing.
But it's, it's like those little things we often just dismiss.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you did that. I'm just saying I've noticed this within my own person. It's like, that I was just a little upset about that thing. And it's like, no, dude, that thing's got roots so far back. Like,
yeah. Well, when you were telling me about this book, when I was driving home, I was like, what's my first? I was thinking about it. I was like, what do I have that's unresolved?
Yeah.
Now, there are little remnants. I had a lot of rejection from like teachers and stuff, authority figures, feeling stupid. I know there's some of that around to be scraped out.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to reading the book because I want to go into those things.
Me too. Now, I didn't at first. Like I had like anxiety about it.
Yeah.
Because I also have the narrative of like, you're unlovable and you're bad.
Yeah.
So like I was afraid I was going into all the things of how bad I am.
Yeah.
How bad I suck. But it's been pleasant.
Cool.
We've been doing this for like 3 weeks now. And
it's almost like it's equipping you with a skill set of like time traveling and like unchaining yourself from things.
Yes. And the thing I really valued about it was because I was having some cyclical things and I could recognize it in my logic mind.
Yeah.
Very clearly recognize it. In my body, it literally was like I was having a panic attack and I couldn't, like physically I was having surges. My body started shaking.
Wow.
It was very bizarre. I kept feeling like I was going to pass out.
Yeah.
Like extreme feelings that I was like, this ain't right, folks. This is not right.
Yeah.
But, like I had to actually have Zach come home early one day from work.
Yeah.
Because I was having a full-blown panic attack.
Wow.
I was like, this just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then when I started really kind of being able to get into it, it was like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's crazy. It has that reaction.
My body has pent up that much energy.
Yeah.
Because I've been that afraid in my subconscious of these things.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
in this book, it has some brilliant stories that actually brought me a lot of hope.
Oh, cool.
So like there's one story where there was a lady who couldn't drink water, like paranoid of water. She had no memory of anything that had happened with water. She couldn't touch it directly. So if she was going to drink it, she had to drink it through a straw.
Yeah.
She wouldn't take a bath. She hardly took a shower.
Yeah.
Well, she went to these counselors, these guys that wrote the book, and they had like this therapy day where they would all get in the water with dolphins, because dolphins are supposed to be really healing animals.
Yeah.
For humans, like it's like our electrical charge, like balances each other
I
or
could see
something.
that with dolphins, yeah.
Well, she stood on the side and was like, I can't get in. And they were like, well, what's going on? Well, her dad happened to be with her. And she was like, I don't know. I just can't do water. I don't like water.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, do you have a memory of any of this? And she's like, nope, have no idea. Her dad was like, oh, I remember when you were like 2, or 3, something like young, you were at the ocean and the water went over you. And it was only a couple of seconds, but I got you and you were fine. But it paralyzed her.
Yeah.
Her response to the trauma was extreme fear.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they walked her through this process right there on the beach. It didn't take long. And she was like, oh, I feel my body relaxing. She was like, I'm not paranoid about this water. And literally as they were walking her through the healing of this right there, this wasn't like 15 sessions of counseling or whatever. It was like in the moment, she started to be able to get in the water. She like walked into the water, and then eventually she got in the boat that took them out to the dolphins, and then she would like ease her way in. And by the end, she was actually with the dolphins.
Wow.
And it's like, so for me, it brought me a lot of comfort in that, because I was like, okay, she was having a physical response.
Yeah.
I've clearly been having physical responses to trauma.
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
But I've seen it unravel already for me. And not everybody's going to have extreme cases like mine. Like, not everybody's as jacked up as I am. But it was cool to see that.
Yeah, for sure.
It was cool to like, I don't know.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, it feels like you've been given a tool. Like you got a little metal detector. Go look for treasure.
Because I don't feel like that.
Not for the sake of finding.
It's not navel gazing.
It's for the sake of growth. It's for the sake of like, how can I become whole and seek the Lord in it?
100%.
Yeah.
And even deal with your disappointments with the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes, especially, I was raised in a very, 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 very hella religious home.
Yeah.
That the punishment was really intertwined with God.
Yeah.
And who he is. And I think that I've been through the process of unraveling some of that.
Yeah.
A big chunk of that, I'll say. But it's like the core memory is that God is still going to punish me.
Yeah.
Because I was punished.
Right.
Because I was isolated. And that was my first memory as a kid. It's like, anyways.
Yeah. Interesting. I was thinking about that on my way up here. The whole God punishment thing. Viewing. I think he was going back because I was listening to Blurry Creatures today. And they were talking about, somebody said it's like that old quote, like one of the devil's biggest tricks is to make you think he doesn't exist or something like that. I was like, man, that's kind of true, because then it paints this picture of people. And it also, I mean, the supernatural has been stripped out of the Bible, interpreted that way. But it puts people in the world, and then God is like this chess master. Yep.
Like a sick game.
Yeah. Like a really sick game. And like he's in charge, he's like moving pawns around, that kind of thing. And that there are demons and darkness.
But even that's a game.
That we're prey to. But he's like over all of it. Like he's like, I'm going to let this demon chew their head off so they'll learn a lesson. Or that's what it made me think of.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, that's so
That's
good.
my thought. Because it paints the picture of almost like us versus him, or like him versus us.
Yes. Bro, that has been my biggest thing is in my self-protect, I feel that very much like me versus you mentality.
Yeah.
Like I have to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that like it's very weird in religious circles, dude.
Yeah.
I think that like the healing thing, right? Like God's going to give somebody cancer.
Yeah.
So that he can heal them.
Right.
And it's like,
yeah.
So he's going to give you something. And then basically like it's going to be you proving yourself so that he can heal you.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, this is weird.
It's very weird. Yeah, it's not him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty jacked up when you really start thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I was kind of, writing some of these lessons and stuff like that, like the goodness of God.
For Sunday.
Yeah. I was going into that one, just going through like, if it's not good, I don't know, just like how good he actually is and how it's just reinforced over and over again in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And in our own lives if we allow him to.
If we look.
If we look, yeah.
Because I think his goodness is everywhere.
It is, yeah.
You just have to have eyes to see.
Right. And he's got a flawless track record. He really does.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that we view things.
That's what I like about this whole book is like it really hits on limiting beliefs. It's like these things that we believe that stunt our perception, that stunt like us seeing the goodness of God, that stunts us from being able to engage with that because we don't believe that we can. Because we've been told the story and our response has been, I believe this limit.
Yeah.
It's
almost like we're like in the ocean and we're like kind of stuck in a current in like a one direction thing, but there's actually freedom to like the
swim
entire
out.
Ocean, know, as opposed to, I didn't know I could like float out here and go this way or go higher or lower,
Mm-hmm.
It really feels that way. Be
curious and dive into this aspect or dive into that or like express myself or like we don't have to be bridled. We don't have to be, because he's not. That's like when I was writing the lessons about the gentleness of God.
Yeah.
Like that flipping blew my mind because gentleness.
Yeah.
When I looked up the Hebrew of it, in its origin, hold on, I got to read this because I thought that was, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up.
No, you're good.
So gentleness, in the meaning from its origin, is exercising God's strength under his control. Example, demonstrating power without harshness.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's it. Yeah.
He's not like, that's the key, is that he is always wanting to exercise his power.
Yeah.
That's a part of his, when he says, Jesus even says this, like, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart. And you find rest for your souls.
Oh, yeah.
It's like rest itself comes from demonstrating his power, moving in his power, learning his power, that he has no harshness in him.
Right. And he doesn't. I told somebody that the other day, and this has been a theme that I've been thinking about. I've had people around me bring up like, oh, God made me feel so convicted today. Isn't it good to feel convicted? Isn't it good to just, I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
That's weird. It really is strange to think
that he brings shame.
It was so strange and foreign when I heard it. It kind of offended me, and I don't believe in getting offended, but I was just like, that's totally not him.
Yeah.
And whoever preaches that is severely misrepresenting him.
Yeah. Wrong God.
That
one's actually Satan.
Yes, absolutely. And so that one kind of got me, and I was like, I'm not going to, don't get stir this up. But I told somebody the other day, and I honestly don't remember who it was, but they were like, said something along the lines of, yeah, he kind of slapped my hand, that kind of thing. And I was like, he has never corrected me in that form ever.
Mm.
He never has. He never talks to me that way.
Yeah.
If I mess up or I do something severely wrong, he doesn't have a measure for that. He doesn't have a measure for how bad I messed up or how I treated somebody.
Yeah.
He doesn't. And he's never talked to me that way. And so I tell people, I told this person that I was like, yeah, when he corrects me, it's never harsh.
It's never harsh. That's where.
And how approachable is that?
Yeah.
To have that track record, you know? It's like, man, no matter what.
And I will say, and this might be kind of blunt, I don't know. But like, if you feel like God has corrected you with a slap on the hand, I would challenge you in a nice way. Like, not like I'm challenging you, but like, I would encourage you to go back and look and see where that might have actually come more from authority in your life, not from God.
Right.
That might have come from man misrepresenting him at some point in your life to where you have then interpreted God to be that way.
Right. Yeah.
Because we think it's the conviction of the Holy Spirit when really it's our own conscience, our soul.
That's right.
Projecting the filter of a wound from the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we misconstrue. And I think that's where the enemy only has power in the wounds that we allow to fester.
Right.
He can manipulate, he can project, he can.
Yeah.
I've had several dreams about going into a theater where then things were projected at me.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, because I went there.
Yeah.
Like, because I left access there.
Even if you don't know.
Yes.
Especially if you don't know. Somebody was telling me this. I thought it was you, but it wasn't you. It had to do with dreams. It was people. Somebody had somebody on Facebook or something, and people were posting things about, I had a dream that I was beheaded by Muslims, aka I'm going to be a martyr like here very soon because of how bad the world's getting.
Yeah.
But it was the interpretation of these things and even the access in the dreams of like,
yep.
So strange. And then to have that as your expectation.
Yeah.
Man. But it's they don't know that it's a wound, you know, in that case. But and then
if I was going to be beheaded, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to have the Lord tell me.
Yeah. Well, that's what they were thinking. I guess they thought the Lord was telling them. I'm
saying you better show up in physical.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that's another
grid.
Yeah.
For sure. But the gentleness of God, that is so true. That's how he is. It's such a relief, too.
So in that vein, think about that, though. The gentleness of God is displaying his power without harshness. What fruit is manifested if you have a dream that you're beheaded by Muslims?
Yeah.
What fruit's then produced in your life?
Yeah.
I guarantee you it's either fear or fear.
Well, it's fear, and then it's also hatred towards those people.
Totally.
Because then it's painted. They're all painted that.
I think hatred is fear.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's true.
I think like all of that actually is rooted there. But,
separation of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, if you think about the interpretations, this was a thing that I felt the Lord kind of draw me into is like, look at the interpretations of your dreams.
Yeah.
Are they producing anything good in your life?
Yeah.
If you're having all these dreams, but then you're interpreting them without hope, wrong interpretation.
Right.
Just wrong.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Well, what is the fruit? What is the fruit of God being gentle? You know? You
feel safe.
Yeah.
You're willing to go in. You're willing to even like, hey, you can hit on some of the hard things because I know you're not going to be harsh with me.
Totally approachable.
Yeah.
Totally approachable.
Yeah.
Like David.
Feels like your best friend.
Yeah.
That you can be completely transparent with.
Yeah.
Or if you've never had a best friend like that, the one that you imagine in your mind that you really always have desired.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's him.
Yeah. He's what you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, imagine if God was completely approachable no matter what you did. Man, imagine you don't, that's it.
Well, you don't have to.
You don't have to imagine it. That's him. But man, I'd go into it. Like, just meditate on that.
So there is a scripture that I read that I really liked. It's 1 Peter 3:4, but it says, but let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart with the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. But the gentle is that word, the demonstrating power without harshness.
Yeah.
And the quiet spirit actually means divinely inspired inner calmness.
Yeah.
So a quiet spirit is actually the place of peace. So I rewrote it. And in my mind, it was like, have your innermost being fully reliant on God rather than on yourself and your own self-interpretation.
Yeah.
And move in God's power without harshness, having divinely inspired inner calmness. For these are the things that God truly values.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what he desires for each of us.
Right.
To have like complete calmness and move in his power.
Yeah. That's right.
And it's like,
I like the divinely inspired segment of that too.
But it's like that if that's how he wants us to be, and if he really values that, he will also be the same way.
Right. Yeah.
Like he will move with power on our behalf without harshness.
Yeah.
And he will always usher in peace.
Yeah.
Divinely inspired peace.
Right.
It's like the peace of God is not something that is manufactured from the outside.
Yeah.
It is something that literally comes from within that exudes.
Yeah. That's what I wrote in the other lesson.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet.
I did. I wrote it. What was it? I'm trying to remember what it was. Peace. It was about peace. It was like, if you say, I need this in order to have peace, or if this happens, then I'll have peace. It's not true peace. It is that divinely inspired through him. It's the only place. It's the only place true peace is found.
Yeah. And you can be enveloped in it.
Yeah.
But I think the more that you look at your stuff, the more you look at your wounds and even like habits, right, that produce kind of yucky fruit.
Yeah.
The more that you can actually take on more of his nature inside your person.
Yeah. I always, when it comes to like looking at your stuff or looking at stuff or things that come up, circumstances, I always have this picture of like seated next to him, like in a theater, and these being presented with options or being presented with the past or being presented with like whatever's going on and just sitting next to him in like heavenly places. And from that place, looking at it. But I always see it like that. It's like a theater, and you get to sit back and look at everything from that perspective.
Yeah.
Which always helps me when anything comes up. It's like, okay.
You can sit in the third person.
Yes. Yeah.
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 I like that Jordan Peterson talks about that. He was like, when you're coming through things and like in this having to kind of rationalize things.
Yeah.
Right. I like that he says too, like with some of these like big issues that people kind of have or like wounds, it's like you have to come to a resolve.
Yeah.
Like something has to be resolved within you or completed. But he was saying that he was like, if you can get into a second person where you have a dialogue with yourself, he was like, that is where you can, and I think it is like with the Lord and like you're creating space.
Yeah.
But he was like, when you can come into a dialogue, that is where the most profound breakthrough comes, is if you can see something from an outside perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, if you can split yourself into 3 people and have 3 different perspectives going, he was like, then you're on next level. But I was like, but he misses the aspect of like bring the Lord in.
Yeah.
And then also detach yourself.
Yeah.
From your own perspective. Because I think sometimes we hold so tight to our own.
Yeah.
Because we're afraid to let go. Yeah. We're afraid to let go of our perspective.
That's right.
But it's like when you invite the Lord in, and even what you're saying, I think visualization is brilliant. Because then you're like, no, I'm sitting in a room.
Yeah.
And I'm not alone here.
Yeah.
And he's with me.
Right.
And he's not against me.
We're looking at this together. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can have this third perspective, this third party outside perspective, because he's also giving it to me.
All right. Well, that's another Jordan Peterson thing that he says. I've probably said this before, but he says, treat yourself as if you're someone that you're responsible for.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. It's so brilliant when you think about that, because often we dismiss ourselves.
Yeah.
Or we don't treat ourselves like we're responsible for us.
Right.
It's like we're trying to manage ourselves.
Yeah.
Versus cultivate ourselves.
Yeah, cultivate. We're here to steward our value.
Yes.
Yeah, on the earth.
Mm-hmm. And display it.
Yeah.
Like, we are the imagers. All humanity is the image of God himself.
Mm-hmm.
So we should let go of all of these little games and all these pains and all of these wounds. And like, I just feel this in my own person. I want to run.
Yeah.
As hard and as fast as I can into wholeness.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I want to be on pure display.
Yeah.
Of what it means to champion his heart.
Yeah.
You know, I want to, like, there was a thing that came over me that I was just like, the core of my being is I want to scream and like have a banner that says, behold his love.
Yeah.
I want people to see it. I want people to know it. And I want to experience it in the deepest of depths.
Yeah.
And the highest of heights.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the only way. And think about this. Think about like the path that you're already on. I mean, really, how big, going back to like what you were talking about, your earliest memory and stuff. It's like all that stuff is there, but all that's really not, that's not too much to be whole from. There's really not, I mean, you can go back in time. Once that stuff can get resolved pretty quickly is what I'm saying.
Totally.
And it's like, once that's all resolved, and you've walked through it with the Lord, like there's more. The run, it's like it gets quicker exponentially.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff is there. And it seems so big. I'm even thinking of some of my own stuff, like it seems monumental. It's really not.
You know,
if you're with him in it, it's like, wait a minute, that stuff's actually not that
so
big.
I love that you said that, because from the moment I actually acknowledged it and I was like, whoa, that did hit me. That did make me feel this way. Most of the power instantly came out of it.
Yes.
And then I had a very similar situation, not punished, but something that normally would hella trigger me.
Yeah.
And it didn't have energy like it had before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa, that was significant for me. That normally I would have, my body would have surged. I would have had an anxious rush. I would try and rationalize my mind, but it would take me, a little bit to get out of it. It was nothing. And I was like, weird. I mean, you know, good weird, but I was just like, that was significant.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's like, it's that, but it's just it's the look at it. Look at it and acknowledge that you did interpret that thing that way.
Yeah.
That doesn't define your person. You know, like the experience itself, because if the experience itself defined you, there's no hope, there's no growth.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just how you received it.
Right.
It's how you receive the experience. And the Lord just wants to rewire how you receive things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's very
hopeful. It's not very far-fetched to see yourself unchained from your past traumas and all of it fully. Yeah. There's no other option. But to be unchained from everything. Yeah. I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Because I feel like when you start, it's opportunity. Yeah. It's like, go into your stuff because you will set somebody else free.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Don't be afraid of the stuff, because I think sometimes we'll hold on to memories because we think they define us. Yeah. We think that that's like, no, that's what happened to me. This is who I am. It's like, yo, that may be what you think right now, but if you lean into that memory and you lean into that experience and you release the energy from there. Yeah. you're going to find out who you really are, and it's way better than you think.
Yeah.
Your destiny is way better than you think.
Right.
Anyways, I had a dream about somebody very specifically that when they realized who they really were, they became completely different and the most powerful human I've ever seen. And it was jaw-dropping to me. But
wow.
I'm like here for that. I'm like, I want everybody to see who they really are. I want to see who I really am. Because I think we're all kind of limited.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So in this dream, this man named David was directing races, these like sprint races.
Yeah.
And he told me, he was like, hey, watch this girl come. And he was telling me about this very specific individual.
Yeah.
That once she started really running, she would be the quickest in the world. And I just needed to encourage her to get running. But she transformed. Like, it was as if, for lack of better words, this is not somebody that was severely overweight.
Yeah.
Not in any kind of shape. As soon as she started running, she became chiseled. And like this brilliant athlete. Yeah. Like I had never seen before. Which I felt like it was the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, David.
Yeah.
Coming in.
Right.
And it's like letting us see each other as the champions we really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you live from a place of wound and you live from a place of filter, you can't see people like that.
Right.
Because you don't even see yourself like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason you should ever go you first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
right.
Anyways.
Cool.
Just thoughts.
Yeah, that's good. Wow.
You got anything else?
My senses are overwhelmed by cinnamon apple candle or something.
I thought somebody like lit something wild out there because I kind of have a headache right between my eyes.
Yeah, it hit me.
Yay for fragrance.
On that note, yeah. Well, awesome.
All right, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
That went a little all over the place.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right. See y'all next time.